And now politics also erupts over the India-US deal. Congress says what happened to India's strategic autonomy. Congress says that a trade deal announced by Washington asked when did we outsource trade announcements. So that is what the Congress is now saying. Congress is questioning that why was the announcement made by US President Donald Trump? Why was it not made by India? Why was the trade deal announced by Washington? And the Congress goes on to ask that when did we outsource trade announcements? So the politics has also erupted back home over this India-US trade deal. Remember, Congress had also questioned the foreign policies earlier, questioning that why there's a delay in the trade deal between India and the US. Why is it not being finalized? And now that it has been finalized, the Congress is posing questions that why was the announcement made by the Washington. We're now being joined by Congress MP Manish Tewari on the broadcast. Mr. Manish Tewari, a very good morning to you. So it's a breakthrough between India on India-US ties, the big announcement that has been made by Donald Trump. Earlier, there were questions which were raised by the Congress party that why is there a delay and what is the update. And now that the announcement has been made by Donald Trump, there are more questions which are being raised by your party.
The question is breakthrough at what cost? What President Trump has just announced on Truth Social, or maybe a couple of hours ago, if that is a correct read of his conversation with his interlocutor, then it has very potential implications for India's strategic autonomy. No purchase of oil from Russia, purchase of oil from Venezuela instead, no tariffs or non-tariff barriers on American exports to India, 18% tariffs on Indian imports to the United States of America, purported or alleged commitment to buy $500 billion of energy, agricultural products, and other stuff from the United States of America. Now, if all this is correct, where does this leave India's strategic autonomy? 18% to 0%? Are we going to be happy with that? Is that something to exult over? These are very serious questions.
Mr. Tewari, you think that there are economic risks that are involved with this trade deal coming into effect?
Well, I have always believed, and in fact, I have written that in my recently released book, that we should have never changed our oil profile in the March of 2022. We should have continued down the same path as we were before the conflict between Russia and Ukraine started. However, having made a conscious choice that we will change our oil profile, now to do it seemingly under pressure from another country, I think has very potential implications, as I stated earlier, for the trajectory of India's foreign policy now going back almost 7 or 8 decades, where we have always prided ourselves of maintaining our strategic autonomy, that the choices that we make, either in foreign policy or with regard to trade or with regard to our energy security, would be dictated by our imperatives alone. And that's a position which the government has repeatedly taken over the last 12 years in office.
All right.
And what President Trump has put out squarely contradicts that position.
All right, Mr. Manish Tewari, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. So the Congress is essentially questioning that, firstly, why was the announcement made by Washington on this finalizing of trade deal? And secondly, the Congress is also raising the economic risk factor for India with this trade deal, with the conditions that have been set by Donald Trump.